Woman made a horrifying discovery. The clothes her husband wore during his cremation had mysteriously appeared at home. She immediately thought of the bizarre events that had occurred recently. A few days ago, she woke up startled from a dream in which her husband had come home, even though he had passed away 7 days ago in reality. She thought it was just a nightmare, but when she turned around, she was surprised to find a ring on the bedside table. At first, she thought it was her own wedding ring, but she realized hers was still on her finger. She broke out in a cold sweat. This was her husband's wedding ring. She clearly remembered touching his ring on his hand during the cremation. As she was puzzled about how the ring got there, she heard her daughter calling her father's name in the next room. She immediately went to her daughter's room, and her daughter told her that dad had come back, played hide-and-seek with her, and kissed her forehead. The woman thought her daughter was hallucinating due to excessive longing, so she comforted her daughter. But the next second, she felt something was off because her daughter smelled like her husband's cologne. She thought her daughter had stolen her husband's cologne, but then she remembered his belongings had been cremated with him, which made her suspicious. Her daughter insisted that dad was right there. When the woman turned around, she indeed saw a figure behind the curtain. She was startled and mustered up the courage to pull open the curtain, but there was nothing there. The woman had a false alarm. She found nothing unusual and had to coax her daughter to sleep, thinking that both she and her daughter were experiencing hallucinations due to excessive grief. But when she reached for the ring, she found it had disappeared. Just then, their wedding photo suddenly fell off the wall, startling her again. Upon closer inspection, she found that the nail on the wall had fallen out, but the whereabouts of the ring remained a mystery. The next day, the woman woke up and was surprised to find that the wedding photo was back on the wall, even though she clearly remembered not hanging it up the day before. She then got up and poured herself a glass of milk, but after sending her daughter off to school, she turned around and was surprised to find that the milk had turned into coffee. Only her deceased husband liked to drink coffee at home. Fear struck again. At that moment, a lottery worker approached the woman, claiming that her husband had won 10 million and asked her to come to 444 Shishan Road before midnight to claim the prize. The worker also mentioned that her husband had bought the lottery ticket on April 4th, which happened to be the day of his cremation. The woman was puzzled again. That evening, she arrived at the address on the business card, only to find that it was a cemetery. When she turned around, the sanitation worker from earlier had disappeared. She was frightened and at a loss when her best friend rushed over. She hurriedly told her friend the whole story. Her friend thought someone was playing a prank and believed she was having delusions, but the woman insisted that her husband had come back and mentioned her daughter's words. Her friend suggested installing surveillance cameras. In the middle of the night, the woman felt someone break in. She immediately got up but found nothing unusual. She went to her daughter's room and found her sleeping soundly, so she turned on the surveillance feed on her phone and was horrified to see a figure standing by the curtain in her own room. Her hair stood on end, and she dropped her phone. She mustered up the courage to ask who the figure was.